Hello and good morning. Baseball is back. Baseball is back. I am Michael Raziel. This is the Win Daily Show, and I have my man Nick Ghost. Actually, I can't even say your last name. Tomasio?
Di Tommaso.
Dean
Close.
Tomaso.
Close.
That was kind of close,
Yeah.
but hey, you know what? Even with that butchering of your last name, Ghost Man, sports are back. You can't get that angry at me. Let's do it. We made it,
Absolutely.
everybody. Congratulations. Baseball is back tonight. We have a quick 2-game slate, but I promise everybody out there, I'm going to watch every single second I can of both of these games. We have the Yankees Nationals starting us off, I think around like 6 or 7. Then we have the Dodgers Giants starting a little bit later, around 10 o'clock at night. Ghostman, how excited are you for sports to finally be back?
I am thrilled to be able to talk about baseball starting back up tomorrow, and then we have NBA starting next week along with the NHL. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it other than just being thrilled to have sports back in my life.
Back in our lives, thankfully. But Ghost has been covering a lot of KBO for us, a lot of CSGO. So he's been getting his fill. Hopefully, all of you have been getting yours as well. And don't forget, we still have our 23-cent promo. If you go to windailysports.com/23, you can sign up for everything on the site. Some articles are free, most are not. We have projection models, we have our expert chat. And obviously, with all those articles, the cheat sheets, everything that comes with it, we have our betting page that's up. I think that one's just free, which is sweet. So you can check
I
out the
love
lines.
that one.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun on both these games that are coming tonight for you. But it is morning. It is fantastic, and we are excited to be here. So, Ghost, let's start out with the Dodgers. Or no, I'm sorry. Let's start out with the first game, the Yankees Nationals. So we have a couple, I don't know, I guess you could call them notable pitchers on the hill. We have Garrett Cole for the Yankees, obviously, and Max Scherzer coming in for the Nationals. I think MLB did an awesome job with this game, getting these two teams, world champs, against, like the entire world's favorite team, up against each other, which should be a lot of fun. So I guess you want to start with the pitching. Let's start there. And I guess talk a little bit about what you think we can do with these two pitchers and the way that you might see this game shaping up a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, exactly like what you said. We have the defending world champions on opening day, and honestly, I think the league did a tremendous job with that. And then, what better opponent than to put them up against the Yankees, right? So, I mean, from a fan perspective, I really don't think that it gets anything better than this. Speaking of the two pitchers on the mound, I mean, again, I don't really think you could get much better than that. You have both Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer, two of the best pitchers, if not the two best pitchers, taking on the yes, I know you're waving your New York Mets shirt at me, and no respect to Jacob DeGrom, who I have the privilege of in 53 minutes. I have the privilege of taking him first overall in my dynasty baseball league. So that's definitely fun. But yeah, no, absolutely. You have Garrett Cole and Max Scherzer taking the mound, and I'm not really too sure if DraftKings kind of put the pricing out a little bit too early and thought maybe some other pitchers might have been getting the start here. But you have Garrett Cole sitting at 10K and Max Scherzer at 8.6K, who's probably at least $1,500, if not more, cheaper than we all expected him to be. So these guys are going to garner most of the ownership, and rightfully so. I mean, they both had the first and third ranked strikeout percentages, respectively, last season. And Garrett Cole, with his whopping 40% strikeout rate, is an absolute DFS machine, right? So you have both these guys that, despite going up against each other's respective heavy hitting offenses, both are the top two targets on the slate by far.
Yeah, and I mean, also, yeah, isn't that funny? We also have Clayton Kershaw, who might go down as, one of the greatest left-handed pitchers of all time, but we'll get to him in a second. And I agree. It's going to be so much fun. And obviously, I love pitching. Pitching is by far my favorite part about baseball, watching the game within the game, that whole thing. But man, that Yankees offense is tough. Like there's really no letting up throughout that entire thing. How do you see it playing out specifically on the Scherzer end? Like I can see Cole just mowing everybody down through 7 innings, but I could see Scherzer getting into a little bit of trouble, especially against that power hitting lineup.
Absolutely. I mean, it's something that we need to consider. I mean, especially with both DraftKings and FanDuel starting off the season with a bang with each of their respective millie makers on both sites. And we're going to have to be different, right? So, and what better way than to take a chance on one of these high powered offenses against one of the best pitchers in the league, no matter which side you end up choosing, right? So, personally, I really do think that this is going to come down to each respective team's bullpen. I mean, you have Garrett Cole, who's just a dominant force every single time he takes the mound, exactly like what you just said. And Max Scherzer is one of the most competitive guys in all of sports right now. I would make the argument for. I mean, you saw him out there in the World Series, and every single time he takes the mound, he wants to pitch. He would pitch 150 times if his arm would let him. You know what I mean? So he's a guy that whenever he gets taken off the mound, he wishes he could have stayed out there. And I really think he's going to bring it on opening day. And again, what better way than to start off with a win against the Yankees? And it really wouldn't surprise me to to kind of see the Nats let him do his thing out there. I mean, a lot of people are worried. Okay, are the pitchers going to be fully stretched out? Players are going through quarantine. There's constant coronavirus concerns around the clubhouse and whatnot. So, is Scherzer and or Cole going to see a full workload? Are they going to pitch 90, 100, 105 times? We won't know till opening pitch. But at the same time, if I would have to lean one or the other, who's going to take the mound the longest amount of time and see the most pitches, I would think it's Max Scherzer. I mean, every single game counts in this shortened season, and with the Nats defending their world title, what better way than to kick off to let Scherzer go 7, 8 innings and really carry them in a low scoring affair?
Yeah, their bullpen, we might forget what they did last season because in the playoffs their bullpen was surprisingly fantastic, but they were one of
Yeah.
the absolute worst bullpens in the entire league last year. They did bring Daniel Hudson back, so he will be back for an entire season, so that will probably help because he was fantastic. Once they pulled him, I can't remember where he came from, the Marlins maybe or the Blue Jays. I can't remember where he came from, some crap team. So he definitely did his thing when he got to the Nationals, and obviously, as we all know, they ended up with the rings as they did in that wacky ass game 7-game series. But in I love that point because the Yankees bullpen's incredible. I mean, just think of the guys. I mean, I think Chapman's not going to be there, but you have Tommy Kahnle, you have Chad Green. Like these guys aren't like super well known, but they're like 6 and 7 inning guys, right? And then you can throw out Zach
Absolutely.
Britton and Adam Montevino. Like their bullpen is stacked. So if Cole does get into a little bit of trouble, you make a good point. They might just say, hey, you know what? You look a little tired. We'll just put one of these other guys that can throw 100 miles an hour in that can strike out 95% of the batters they face. So it's a really, really good point. And I guess moving on to, or how do you want to do this? Do you want to do the stacks of this game first, or do you want to hop over, do the rest of the pitching, and then kind of do the stacks all at once?
Yeah, we'll talk about the stocks for this game first, and
Okay,
then we'll
cool.
move on to the next game.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, talk to me, man. I mean, we got the Yankees with their ridiculous lineup. We have the Nationals, not quite as ridiculous. The offense isn't going to be as powerful. I mean, I have to assume we're leaning on the Yankees a little bit here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Yankees, no matter which day, are always a viable stack. No matter which day you're playing MLB DFS, and no matter which one of our articles over at Win Daily Sports you're going to read, I mean, they'll at least be an honorable mention at the bare minimum, just because of how high powered their offense is, and the ratio between their contact rates and their hard hit rates are one of the best, if not the best in the league, right? So, I mean, you got guys like Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres. Any one of these guys can not only hit one home run but multiple in a single game. So, and again, on these milli maker slates, something's gonna have to be able to separate us from the field. And whether it's a one off or taking a chance like on a guy like Aaron Judge or Giancarlo Stanton over two more popular bats in Cody Bellinger and Mookie Betts in the next game. I mean, yeah, why not? I mean, who's to say that Max Scherzer says exactly what we were talking about it before? Is it possible that he goes 7, 8 innings and he throws 90 to 100 pitches, and just for them to secure that first win in the season and start off with a bang and let the league know, like, hey, we're the reigning champions and we're here to play? Absolutely. But at the same time, if he gets into early trouble, who's to see that we don't see that bullpen for the majority of the game? And they're like, you know what? It's still a 60+ game season. We'll get you back out there next time, right? So,
Yeah.
in terms of the Yankees, I definitely think that they're viable, just like on any other day. But I'm taking a longer look at the Nats here. I mean, especially with the amount of ownership that Garrett Cole is garnering on both sides. I mean, FanDuel, there's such little price difference between him and Max Scherzer that I feel like a lot of people are going to flock towards Garrett Cole, and rightfully so. You can't really blame them. I mean, guy's got a 40% strikeout rate and is an absolute machine from a DFS perspective and a real life pitcher. So for sure, he's going to be the highest owned pitcher. And over on DK at 10K, it's an absolute no brainer for a lot of people to lock in both pitchers in this game. But for me, a mini Nat stack is definitely something that I'm looking at. Whether it starts with a guy like Juan Soto, who is 4 for 6 in his career against Garrett Cole. He's got 2 homers. He's got 2 doubles. So he's got 4 extra base hits in all 4 hits that he does have against them. He's definitely somebody that, again, he can make your lineup different simply because of the way position eligibility works on both these sites, right? I mean, a lot of guys are going to try and jam in these Dodgers and stack Cody Bellinger, stack Jock Peterson, stack Mookie Betts, a bunch of different Dodgers at that point, where the outfield position is somewhere where not only do we have some of the biggest names, but we do have some of the best DFS plays in an entire season, let alone on this 2-game slate. So going with a guy like Juan Soto is definitely something that interests me. And again, in the 9 slot, if Victor Robles hits out of that 9 slot, he's somebody that I'm kind of taking a look at, simply because if he could get on base, he's definitely someone that could swipe a bag and get some extra points from us from that perspective. And again, hitting from that 9 slot, I'm a big fan of the wraparound stacks that we call them in MLB DFS. So that's when you stack the 9, 1, 2, 3, 4 hitters, something of that manner. And he's definitely somebody that I'm going to be looking at depending on where my lineups end up.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, you can grab that stolen base, then you can get that RBI, and then Juan Soto can do his thing as well. I got
That's
Juan
it.
Soto in a season long, so I'm very excited about that. Let's just check in on the odds right now. The run line 1.5 to the Yankees at +115, +1.5 to the Nationals at -132. That's the consensus from a bunch of different books here in New Jersey. And then let's just look at that money line. Yep, -135 to the Yankees, +118 to the Nationals, and over under, we got over under of 7.5. So we'll see what happens there. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun, and I'm pretty excited about it. So let's move on to the later game. We got, again, and I'm a huge Clayton Kershaw fan. I know I'm a Mets fan, but back in college, I would just stay up late and listen to Vince Scully and watch him call a Kershaw game. I think that's why I like Kershaw more, because Vince Scully was, using his imagination brush and painting for me the whole time. But let's talk about this late game. I mean, the Dodgers, hands down. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Dodgers have only a teens in their loss column at the end of the year, 19, 18 losses for the entire year. I would not be surprised by that. I mean, I don't know, man. This Giants team is, everybody keeps telling me they're trash. I look at their lineup. They're definitely trash. They don't really have too much pitching. They really don't have too much there. I mean, does Johnny Cueto stand a chance? Like, how weird and how wacky do we have to get to actually start Johnny Cueto in a start like this?
I mean, whether we're talking opening NBA week, opening NHL week, opening MLB, no matter what the sport is, you're definitely going to hear all of us discuss how we could get different in these large field tournaments, and specifically the Millie Makers. But putting Johnny Cueto in your lineup is just not something that I would recommend, let alone even consider at this point. I mean, we have 3 of the best pitchers in the entire sport on the same slate, on a 2-game slate of that matter. So you got 3 out of 4 pitchers that are all Cy Young candidates. To me, it's a hard no on Johnny Cueto. That's for sure.
Hard
In a
no on
simple way,
Johnny Cueto.
simple, effective way to put it, it's a hard no on Johnny Cueto for me.
So as we were talking about before, I mean, Max Scherzer's strikeout rate's insane. Garrett Cole's strikeout rate's on another planet. That used to be Clayton Kershaw. He's obviously not the pitcher he was anymore, but he is very clearly going against a weaker team. So I understand, we're going to have shares. We're not just going to make one lineup and put 2 pitchers in it. We're going to make a few. What's that percentage you're looking at for Clayton Kershaw? Is he going to be in like a third of your lineups? Maybe is he going to be in a quarter? Because again, he's going against such a trash team that a 7-inning, 10 strikeout Clayton Kershaw gem from 6, 7 years ago, it's really not out of the question, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're gonna have to see the lineups tomorrow at around noon to kind of see if some
Today,
value opens up.
today
Oh,
at noon.
so we're gonna get them at around noon. So looking at that, we're definitely gonna need some value pieces to open up to not play a guy like Clayton Kershaw. I mean, over on FanDuel, I find that a little bit more viable. With like kind of like what I was saying before, with such little price difference between Kershaw and Scherzer and Cole, I feel like it's more justifiable over there to kind of jam one of them in. But over on DK, you really can't ignore his price tag, and especially when my primary objective on DraftKings is to jam in 5 Dodgers hitters. Clayton Kershaw definitely becomes an elite target for me, and I'm definitely going to be overweight compared to the field. That's for sure.
I love it. I love it. Now let's talk about these stacks because we already talked about Johnny Cueto. Don't play him, says Ghost. That was really easy. As you've been saying, and as we'll be saying, and as our good friend Brian over here, Brian Tulloch, at Two Lock Sports, we're jamming the Dodgers in as often as we can. As we all just saw yesterday, that Mookie Betts signed an incredible something like 13 or 12-year, $370 million deal, whatever it was. Kudos to him. I think him and his family are going to be pretty set for a little while now. But this lineup is just absolutely insane when you think about now they get the DH. Now they don't have to be weird and wacky. Now these players don't have to get taken out in the sixth inning because of a pitching change. Like, we can just let this lineup roll. So how much more excited are you now that the Dodgers, now we don't have to worry about Jock Peterson. He's just going to sit in that DH spot and just try and hit mash dingers all day long.
I mean, to kind of put my excitement into words, I'd like to quote our good friend Brian's article, who made his debut for his picks and pivots, which I was thrilled to read for the first time when I heard that he was coming over to join us, and I can't wait to get to work with him over the next who knows how long amount of time. But he goes, "I like stacking. I like the Dodgers offense. I like stacking the Dodgers offense," and that to me sums it up perfectly. I mean, this is the lineup that I will have the most exposure to. They will have the heaviest ownership, but again, rightfully so. I mean, you add a guy like Mookie Betts into your lineup, which was already one of the most potent lineups in all of baseball. Then you add Mookie Betts. Now you're talking about adding a universal DH into the lineup. I mean, it's like taking candy from a kid. I mean, you just can't not do it at that point. You open up FanDuel, you open up DraftKings, you see all these Dodgers, you're like, okay, it's not about if I'm playing them or not. It's more like, how many am I going to play? And if that max number is 5, I'm trying to get 5 of them in there. And it's more like, who am I going to play? To me, it's a no-brainer to play 4 or 5 Dodgers on both sides and to just absolutely jam them in your lineup. It will be extremely worth it.
Extremely worth it. So as you said, it's more the who. So understanding, again, it's a 2-game slate, so we can't even really get that weird and wacky. How do you, when breaking up, when you're looking again at shares and you're making a couple different lineups, again, there's going to be a lot of Dodgers stacks in there. How are you going to go about kind of playing contrarian just within this 5-person group of just Dodgers hitters? Like, how are you going to get a little crazy to just be a little different than the field and make sure that you're not leaving too many points on the bench?
I mean, I feel like most people are gonna, if they're taking the same strategy as jamming in as many Dodgers as they can, most people will likely start with Bellinger and Betts, and again, those are probably my top 2 targets on the entire slate. So I'm definitely gonna have multiple lineups with both of them in there. But again, just by leaving one of them out, you're already getting slightly different compared to the field. But then you're gonna have to look at this. I guess you could call them a supporting cast, when in reality, you could argue that they could lead the offense on any given day or night, depending on what time they're playing. So, I mean, you have guys like Seager, you have guys like Will Smith, you have guys like Turner at third base. So, I mean, these are all guys that are viable for our stacks. And at what point do we end up making the decision on who to play and in what position? For me, it's really how it affects my entire lineup. So, if there's a guy that I'm plugging in outfield and third base, let's say. So I got Cody Bellinger and Betts plugged in no matter what, and I'm debating, okay, do I go with Turner at third base or do I go with Jock Peterson at the outfield? For me, it's all about that second player that you end up adding in. So you guys are going to hear me talk about this no matter what the sport is. It's not necessarily about the individual pick that you make. It's more about how it affects the rest of your lineup construction. So for me, if you're more comfortable playing a guy at third base like Gio Urshela compared to punting an outfielder because you want to get Turner in at third base, that to me makes it a better play to go with the former option, in the sense that, hey, if Jock Peterson and Gio Urshela make a better combination than Turner and a guy like Adam Eaton in outfield, I'm definitely going to take the better combination in that sense. So while I may not have necessarily the best individual Dodger that I think will put up the most amount of raw points, for me, it's all about that combination, whether it's 2 or 3 way pivot. That's how I'm going to be building most of my lineups today.
Today, nice. I'm so excited for this game as well. I want to see Clayton Kershaw on the bump. The over under on this game is 8. I bet you can't guess who the juice is on. Money line, we got Dodgers minus 321, Giants
Wow.
plus 266. Yes.
Yeah.
Vegas, all of these books do not care. Nobody, DraftKings in particular, you can get the Giants at plus 280. If you hop over to PointsBet and FanDuel, you can get the Dodgers as low price minus 310. So we'll see what happens
Hey,
there. And obviously the run line, Dodgers minus 128, Giants plus 111. So just take the Dodgers run line and be happy with it. So Ghostman, appreciate the hell out of you. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this first of many, many. We're going to have to come up with a name, like Shot of something maybe in the morning. I don't know. Shot of Michael and Ghost in the morning. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But
we're
Ghost,
gonna
where
have
can
to come up
everybody?
with something.
Yeah, we'll come up a little bit better than that. But Ghost, where can everyone find you on Twitter?
At DFS_Ghost. You guys can find me there. And as always, in every single channel in the Win Daily Sports Discord, make sure that you join now and take advantage of that amazing offer that we have. As Michael said at the beginning of the show, 23 cents for your first month. And as my good friend Jim Thompson says, it's only a quarter. We know you guys can do it.
Yes, and Jim will even send you a quarter if you send up. Just send us your social security number and your address. I am at Michael Raziel 1. Thank you so much for Ghost. Yes, again, 23 cents for everything on the site. It's only lasting about a week longer, so take advantage while you can. We appreciate all of you and hope you make it a very profitable day.